Okay, because most of the participants are here. All right. So, hello everyone. I'm Joanne, the customer success manager here at Fujifilm Business Innovation New Zealand. Thank you for joining us today. So, today's webinar focuses on Peppol e-invoicing and at what it means for accounts payable teams across New Zealand. We'll cover the Peppol fundamentals, its adoption across the region, and how Esker supports Peppol within your AP workflows. Our aim is to provide clear, practical insights into what's changing, what stays the same, and the benefits of Peppol can bring to your AP processes. So please feel free to submit any questions at any time in the Q&A section or chat function. We'll address the questions at the end of the presentation from our speaker. And with a large audience today and limited time, if we're not able to answer your questions live, we'll follow up via email. I'm pleased to introduce our speaker, Bharath Ram, a business analyst here at Fujifilm Business Innovation New Zealand. Bharath brings strong expertise in accounts payable automation and Peppol-enabled e-invoicing and works closely with our customers to deliver practical and scalable solutions using Esker. So at the end of our session, you'll see a link to the survey or a QR code that you can scan. We'd appreciate you taking time to complete it. You might even win something at the end of the survey. So with that, I'll pass it over to Bharath to start the presentation.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. I'm Bharath Raam, business analyst from Fujifilm Process Automation team. Today's session is a high-level overview of what Peppol is, which is commonly known as e-invoicing in New Zealand. We will also cover why it matters now, what's changing, and how Esker supports organizations to adopt it with minimal disruptions. This is also relevant given the upcoming New Zealand government mandates. In terms of what you'll learn from this webinar, firstly, what Peppol is, why it's gaining momentum. Secondly, the regulatory drivers in New Zealand. Third, what's actually changing with accounts payable. And finally, how Esker enables Peppol in practical way to help the adoption. As Joe mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please post in the Q&A section and we will answer it by the end of the webinar or via emails if we run out of time. All right, let's move into the next one, what Peppol is. Peppol stands for Pan-European Public Procurement Online. Today, it's generally a global e-invoicing standard used by over 60 countries. It allows businesses to change invoices electronically using structured data rather than PDF or scanned documents. The key value is simple, less manual data entry. Invoices are created in the supplier systems and arrives directly into the buyer system with accuracy, securely, and automatically. Peppol is a non-profit organization and it's standardized, secure, and designed to scale. That's why the governments globally are backing it. Esker has been Peppol accredited since 2017 across Europe, Australia, Singapore, and New Zealand. Right. Peppol is basically an EDI. EDI means electronic document interchange, where the documents or invoices is interchanged between the supplier and the buyer electronically. It is, and the traditional EDI often relies on a point-to-point or a centralized three-corner model where every trading partner requires a bespoke technical agreement and a custom mapping, which means a supplier will have their own point-to-point connection directly to the buyer, or they might have a centralized middleware they might need to connect into two different systems. To the buyer, they have to connect to different systems with each supplier. Instead of it, Peppol eliminates that requirement and introduced a four-corner model, which allows businesses to connect once and connect to all by using a standard access points that handles the interoperability across the entire network. The custom point-to-point integration with each supplier is eliminated in this space. The organizations can connect once via an access point and change or exchange invoices within Peppol participant. MBIE is the Peppol authority in New Zealand, where they kicked off their e-invoicing journey from 2019. One of the mandates from MBIE or the New Zealand government is from 1st of January 2027, larger suppliers with the revenue of more than 33 million New Zealand dollars or more will be required to send e-invoices via Peppol when billing a New Zealand government agency. The mandate was announced in 2025. The 2027 may feel far away, but onboarding suppliers and system takes a lot of time. Peppol is no longer optional for many organizations. It's becoming a compliance requirement. What you see in the screen right now is the New Zealand's adoption of Peppol or e-invoicing. You can see a steady accelerating adoption as more government agencies and larger suppliers enable Peppol. Downstream organizations must be ready for receiving e-invoices or risk of processing bottlenecks. The question is no longer if Peppol will impact you, but when. I just want to talk a bit about Esker platform. Esker platform provides best-in-class AI technology with ERP connectivity suites to automate the process. Today, we are focusing more on the AP side of things with the invoices and e-invoicing, where Peppol fits neatly into the Esker AP automation strategy, removing a lot of manual works before even AI even needs to step in. So Esker can able to send as well as receive e-invoices from the AI module, which we call it as invoice delivery, and in the AP module, we act as an access points. What you see here is the overview of what e-invoicing process is. The suppliers and the buyer sits in both the corners. The corner 1 will be the supplier and corner 4 will be the customer. Esker operates as an access point for invoice delivery in corner 2 if you have AR module, and in corner 3 for the accounts payable module. Esker acts as acting as an access point, receives those invoices and delivers them directly into the AP module and to your ERP systems. At a high level, the suppliers send invoices to the access points, or AP we call it as, and the access point converts those invoices into uncompliant Peppol BAS documents. So Peppol has a standard document type, which is an XML format, and they have their own specification. When the invoice is sent to corner 2 in here, this is where the access points will use the Peppol registry to identify the businesses. So your NZBN, or for Australia, the ABN is used as an identifier to identify which customer and which supplier it's from and sends through the document to the corner 3. The identifier will be your business number, which is what we configure to receive invoices via Peppol network. The standard Peppol validation will take place in both the corners, corner 2 and corner 3. The validation includes the document types, the formats, the validation rules from ANZ. So basically ATO from Australia and MBAE from New Zealand has merged together, like hand together, and then they had some rules which formed for the invoicing, which has been validated in corner 2 and corner 3. This is an system to system and not an email based system. The result is basically faster processing, better data quality, and fewer exceptions. Now we can see what does Esker does in the space of Peppol. For the users who are currently using Esker, you can able to receive invoices via PDFs with your emails or using the supplier portal. And also you can able to enable the Peppol or the e-invoicing, and you can able to receive all these invoices in parallel. So Esker has various methods for the new customers where you can able to receive in parallel from the standard PDF invoices to e-invoicing, which means your suppliers can able to send invoices through any channels as PDFs via email or via e-invoicing networks. From an AP user perspective, there is very, very little change. What the Esker solution does is receive the invoices via Peppol and are clearly marked as EDI in Esker to make an identification whether it's been sent via Peppol network or via an email PDF. The structured XML data is converted into an human readable PDF, so the users are really familiar with an invoice layout. What Esker does is like it captures the details from the XML file and creates its own PDF to help the users access it. Behind the scenes, the original XML file is retained and attached for audit and compliance purposes. If a supplier includes a PDF or a supporting document with the Peppol file, those are also attached automatically in Esker. What you see in the screen right now is familiar to the people actually using Esker right now. And for the new customers, you'll be using the accounts payable module, and this will be your screen. So what you can see is the invoice XML, which has been attached in the top banner in here. We call it as documents pane. And towards your right hand side is the documents preview pane. When you click on each of these documents, you can able to view it in the preview in here. So what I'm showing in here is the XML which is attached, also the Esker generated invoice PDF. The biggest change with the invoicing and Peppol is the delivery channel. Instead of the traditional email way, you'll be receiving it an EDI way into Esker. Instead of the emails, invoices received via Peppol as a structured XML. The key fields like your invoice numbers, order number, invoice date, invoice amount are directly populated from the XML file itself. For the non-PO invoices, the line level data is also populated automatically, which includes your line description, line amount, units, and quantity, and everything. There is no OCR involved in this process. When Esker converts the XML file into an PDF file, there is no OCR involved. Esker uses the data directly from the XML file, which is 100% accurate than the OCR process. How does Esker recognize the vendor when it receives an e-invoice in Esker? So the vendor recognition doesn't need an OCR, and there's no OCR in the PDF. It actually looks at the data driven from the document itself. If there is a PO invoice, Esker uses the PO vendor and validates the GST. If there is a non-PO invoice, Esker uses the GST number in the XML to match the vendor in the ERP. It is highly unlikely there is a Peppol participant who doesn't supply a GST number, as it's one of the recommend from MBIE. If in case if you receive any invoices without an GST number, it is a manual vendor selection which becomes an exception rule. So once an invoice is received, Esker extracts all the information, and for a non-PO invoice, the AP users still code the lines as normal, which will be your general ledger, cost centers, etc., which is not part of the XML files from the supplier. They are a part of your AP process, but the invoices are automatically balanced, reducing the rework and exceptions. So this, what you see in the screen right now is the Esker forms for a non-PO invoice. The first picture in here displays you all the extracted information from the XML files and the entity cost centers or your actual accounting data. And the next picture, what you see in here is the human readable PDF, which Esker converts from an XML file. In summary, Peppol is a proven government-backed standard that removes manual invoice entry. New Zealand mandates are coming and adoption is accelerating. ESCA enables Peppol in a way that compliance scalable minimum disruption for the AP teams. If you like to explore the readiness, timeline, or the Peppol pilot, we are happy to discuss the next steps, and our consultants and the customer success team can be reached out to start your e-invoicing journey. With that, we can able to move into the Q&A section. Over to you, Joe, if there's any questions.
Yep. Okay. All right. There's one question here. Just a moment. Let me just. Okay. There's one question here. We receive. What happens if we're not ready by 2027? Can we still send PDFs?
Yes, you can still send PDFs, but it's up to the government organizations who will receive the invoices. So you might need to have a conversation with the organization to understand why it's mandatory and what happens.
Okay. And another one, do Peppol invoices support all the SAP posting fields we currently use in Esker, or are there any limitations?
Okay, basically the Peppol fields will be from the supplier, and they will not have your accounting data like your cost centers or GLs. So the data which will be received from the Peppol file will be your high level details and the line level details. If it's a PO invoice, you already have your SAP fields available in the purchase orders when you do the requisitions, and that will be transferred across to the invoices and sent to the ERP. If there is a current Esker user who uses SAP, there will be no changes towards that process. It is just how the invoices are delivered into Esker.
Thank you. And another question, you mentioned that the business of the certain size need to be ready with Peppol by 2027. How long does it take to implement Peppol? And so when should my organization start making decisions about Peppol?
It is probably a consultant question, which if you're keen to get more details on it, I would request you to contact the consultant or the customer success team to get the actual timeline.
Thank you. And how will we know who has the ability to send EDI invoices? Is there a directory of businesses already using EDI or Peppol?
That is a really good question. Esker has an registry or a directory, we can call it as, which is global, and we can able to help you to identify what are the businesses which actually has already implemented e-invoicing in New Zealand or even globally.
Right? And whether Peppol has strict limitations on the length or format of values in specific SML fields. For example, in the tax scheme section, which is intended for GST number, does the field enforce a maximum limit of characters or digits?
Yes, when I talk about the validation, the Australia New Zealand follows an PI and T ANZ format, which has all these validations which is applied in there. And also it applies the validation for the format of the XML file as well as the rules from New Zealand government. One of the checks will be exactly what Harry's question is
Mhm.
for the GST numbers, which will be 10 digits, and the NZBN numbers, which is 13 digits.
Thank you, Bharat.
I can see one other question in there. What is
Yep.
OCR? Sorry to mention. OCR is optical character recognition. This is what helps the system to actually read through the whole document when you send it to a scanner, which is an AI scanner, to scrap all the text information from that document and then put it towards the fields in Esker.
Thanks, Bharat. And another one, what exactly is an access point?
So access point is basically an registered Peppol, not an authority, it's a registered Peppol company where they are able to help other companies to enable Peppol or e-invoicing. So access point is also defined as a service provider, so they can able to help other companies, suppliers, or even buyers to get into the e-invoicing journey. So access points are the one who actually registers the suppliers and customers on behalf of into the Peppol registry.
Thank you, Bharat. Let me check if there are other questions here. Okay, can you explain how data validation and touchless processing works in Peppol compared to PDF or
Right.
EDI?
That's a really good question. So compared to an PDF, an ESCA invoice received in PDF will be OCR, which is optical character recognition, which reads through the document and then scraps information from the document and chucks into the fields in the ESCA forms, which has like a larger accuracy in ESCA. But compared to an Peppol or e-invoicing file, which is all data driven, basically all the values is in a tag, which is already available. There is no OCR, and that value from the XML file is directly popped in or populated into the ESCA fields, which is 100% accurate compared to an PDF extraction.
Thank you. Can suppliers send multiple invoices at one go?
Now it's always one invoice per file with Peppol. Yeah.
Okay, any more questions? I think we have a new one. Just a moment. So once we have the capability in Esker, do we engage with Fujifilm to get our suppliers sending us invoices, or do we just send? We just need to send our suppliers an email letting them know that we are ready to accept e-invoices.
Right. So the first thing what you need to do is talk to our team to enable or set up the Peppol configuration to receive invoices. via the Peppol network or e-invoicing. And then you need to identify as part of the process what are the suppliers who can able to send you the e-invoices. So by that, it's a whole journey with together with Fujifilm, Esker, and yourself to get into Peppol and start receiving the invoices.
And do they need to upgrade their Esker platform for Peppol?
Depends on which version the Esker platform currently is. Um, Again, we need to check and let you know on it. It's best to talk to the consultants, which they can able to provide more information.
Thank you. And does Esker has integration capability with PeopleSoft Financial?
Integration with Esker has a lot of multiple configurations. One of them is a universal connector, which we use commonly, and we can able to connect with PeopleSoft with the universal way of integration. Do you have any others, Joe?
Sorry, I was in mute. How does utilities consumption data get communicated with e-invoicing?
The utility consumption is one of the features which is recently enabled in Esker to capture those details in there. If the suppliers send you those data as fields in the e-invoices, then it can be captured in Esker. Or once you receive the invoice in Esker, you can able to calculate based on the features which automatically calculates your consumption within Esker.
Okay, and does Peppol provide a recommended or mandatory standard for how bank account information should be structured in XML?
That is right. That's one of the validations in place. So in the XML, the standard bank account has been provided to the access points, and the access points will take care of sending yours or the supplier's bank account number in the file.
Okay, thank you. And let me see if we still have questions to answer. I think um, that's all the questions we have today, Bharat.
Joe, there are a couple of questions in the chat,
In the chat, sorry.
and
Okay,
there might have
got
been
it.
some that are
All
hidden
right.
in the Q&A. You might have to actually do another
Yep,
scroll through.
it's true.
Lots of questions asked today, which is great.
Yep, thank you. And can same supplier send PDF and EDI invoices?
Yes, that can be done. It's up to the supplier, and Esker is open to receive either by PDF or by invoices.
All right. And do you foresee EDI invoicing being the main form of invoicing within the next couple of years in NZ, not just for government accounts?
As of now, I don't see there is a mandate from the New Zealand government. Just for government agencies, they have implemented or mandated it. I don't think it's pushed into in smaller businesses or anyone apart from the government agencies.
Okay. All right. If Peppol is going to be mandatory, is Fujifilm going to automatically update our Esker platforms? If we have to reach out to the consultants, I'm assuming this will incur fees to update.
Yes, there is an service fee which will be provided. That's why it's better to contact the consultants to get a better idea of what we need to do.
Okay. Thank you. And I believe I've covered all the questions in Q&A and the chat.
If there's any
Yep.
questions which is not covered, we will just do a skim through all the questions and we'll respond you via emails.
Oh, there's another
Um,
one. Sorry, there's another one. Just checking, did you say Peppol only takes one-to-one invoice to email? Currently, we have suppliers who sends one PDF with multiple invoices, and Esker can split. Will this need to change for Peppol?
This will need to change because Peppol will not have any email in it. So Peppol is directly system to system process and will not have any emails towards it. So one invoice will have one file which has been sent directly from the supplier system into Esker and into your ERP.
All right.
The other question I can see in the chat
Mhm.
is, can you confirm a PDF is added along with the XML file? Yes, if the supplier sends an PDF, or an supporting document, it's always attached to the document pane in Esker. Also, Esker creates its own PDF based on the XML invoice.
And from your experience, what are the most common challenges during the initial Peppol onboarding for suppliers?
The most common challenges is to test with a supplier, basically to get a supplier to do the testing. And right now, it's not a challenge, I would say, because there's lots of organizations who have already moved into Peppol, and we just need to find out who does send the invoices and to configure it.
Okay. Thank you, Bharath. And I believe this time I have covered all of the questions in the Q&A and also in the chat. All right. So if we have any questions, again, please feel free to contact us, your consultants, or the customer success team. So thank you for joining us today. If we didn't, yeah, if we just you have questions, feel free to email us, and don't forget to complete the survey using the link provided, or I believe there is a QR code. It will help us improve our future sessions. So thank you again, and have a great day. You have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.